And a pleasant good evening, one and all. The Philly Guy here with you, Joe Quills, on this Thursday night. Welcome to the Philly Guy Speaks, part of the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Thursday night, got quarterfinal night with the big conferences tonight. Also got the chopping block going on right now in college basketball. A couple of big names will not be returning to their teams next season. I'll tell you who. One was a little bit of a surprise of how they're wording it. I'll get into that. One coach, which I mentioned before, you feel bad for the guy. I'll mention that as well. Some things I was teasing on the Tuesday show, which I will talk about. Some things that I really don't like about daylight savings time, and in true me fashion, as I need to pull up the soundboard here, true me fashion in terms of things that I don't like about daylight savings times, which I hate, which no one else will give two rats' asses about. And then I had a conversation with one of my friends on Twitter. She went YOLO with a comment, with the tweets. I go joking around, and then I put FOMO in there. Well, she reminded me of a FOMO moment that I'm definitely going to miss out on this weekend. Well, probably isn't FOMO, but you'll get the idea later. And whatever anybody wants to talk about here tonight on the show. Just a reminder, if you come over to nofilter.net, Play Action Reel just popped in. Welcome aboard. If you're going to come over for the first time, if you're listening to the audio portion of this podcast and show, which I post the audio portion of, and also I do want to say one thing. Well, let me finish that thought first because I'm starting to go off in tangents already. If you ever come on the show and you want to watch, we're interactive. There's that little fist on the lower right-hand side. Click on that, and then just make sure you get you click OK for the video and the audio. Well, most importantly, the audio. If you don't want to show your ugly mug, that's fine. Because I know bags are costing 15 cents now at Giant near me. Well, I should say the brown bags, because plastic bags are banned in the city of Philadelphia. But you don't have to waste a brown bag covering your face. You don't have to go into the witness protection program and we get something to cover your face like this. But it's all in fun, and we have fun here. We get interactive here. We talk whatever you want to talk about. It's a fun game that I like to play. It's like, can we sidetrack the host? And I do it just fine myself. But sometimes it's more fun when you do it to me as well. So just want to test one thing.
Oh my, oh my. Rock and roll!
Wrong, sir. Wrong. Will you shut up?
Okay, the sound drops are working fine here tonight. Hope you heard them. And Play Action Reel says, let's get it back to the Eagles. No, we are not WIP. But I was watching a stream earlier tonight, getting ready for this show. Nice to know that I had my show pretty much planned out, even if I didn't have it written down. I was watching some college basketball as well. St. Joe's lost to Dayton. Dayton. St. Joe's did cover the spread because the spread was like 11. I did say, I told my friend, I said, I'm going to take Seattle money line over Grand Canyon, and I'm going to take Fullerton over Hawaii. Well, typical me fashion when I play 2 games at once, both money line wagers, I end up splitting. So I end up losing about 30 cents. So that's okay. Make it back later on. Um, so, and because that Fullerton Hawaii game went overtime, and I was watching it on my new TV, which I've had for about a month now, was able to watch it on ESPN Plus. Ran a little late, so um, um, and I just lost the game outright. So I mean, Fullerton won, Seattle lost, whatever. So, um, and Play Action Reel says, I'm taking over on the money line most hockey wagers. Let me tell you, one thing I'd like to do, and I was doing it a couple of years ago before the pandemic hit. So 3 years ago, the Flyers got real hot, and I was like, this is another Flyers win. And the one thing I was doing was, and if you listen to my podcast, when I make my wagers, whenever there's a 3-way wager, I tell you, I love a 3-way. So, I would sit there, I'm like, no, I'm not taking the Flyers at minus 170. You go to the 3-way line, you get it for about minus 105. Boom. And the Flyers would win. Not anymore because they suck. And the owners are horrible. And everybody's revolting to get them to sell the team, which isn't going to happen. Because Comcast does not give a shit about Flyers fans. But at least that's my opinion. But it is what it is. I'm not a person that goes to a lot of Flyers games. So I'd rather watch it at home, even though, you're trying to find the puck half the time. But, maybe if I watch a game or two in 4K, I can actually see that puck, But, it is. Yeah, we're just having fun here. So we are in championship week. Not sure if I'm allowed to say that or not because it is an ESPN thing and I wouldn't understand. But with championship week, we do get coaches leaving the nest or their jobs or whatever, or getting fired or whatever. Breaking news from earlier today, and I was sitting here watching the stream that I was watching, and all of a sudden on the phone about 6:00, let me find it here. Breaking news: Patrick Ewing is out as men's basketball coach at Georgetown after 6 seasons. And I told you a couple of weeks ago, I really felt bad for the guy. And a lot of times these superstars going back to their alma mater to coach after X amount of years, especially coaches that don't have head coaching experience. Couple of names off the top of a name off the top of my head who has about the same amount of hair follicles as I do. Chris Mullen went to St. John's. He failed there. Patrick Ewing, it was an interesting hire, and it was a John Thompson move before he passed away. He said, "Hey, give Ewing a chance," and I just feel bad for the guy because you work all your life to become a head coach. You had a couple of interviews, and the last 2 or 3 years has been utter disaster, or as we like to say, utter shit. So Georgetown's going to be looking for a new head coach, and not a surprise as well, but the way that everything's being worded and the verbiage is really got me wondering was this really a retirement or was he forced out? Was Jim Boeheim, and that was announced yesterday afternoon. Um, right after I got done work around 5:30 ish. Um, I'm watching what I was watching St. Joe's. They were playing. Christ, I don't know the hell of it. But then all of a sudden, my phone goes off again. Jim Boeheim steps down as coach at Syracuse. Now, I get the feeling, and if I'm wrong, so be it. I've been wrong so long, so much. It's not funny. But something tells me that this wasn't a true retirement for Jim Boeheim. Now, granted, the guy's 78 years old. He's probably been in basketball, probably been coaching Syracuse about 5 years longer than what he should have. But he did have over 1,000 wins. And I think he had a bunch of wins taken away for him because of a NCAA violation. But don't quote me on that either. But it just seems like it's everything is that he stepped down. He's out. Will not be returning. But the verbiage in Jim Boeheim's departure, because I don't even know what the correct word is here, because other than because of the fact that it's all weird, because he said in a press conference before the announcement became official, he said in a post-game press conference, "Oh, you missed my retirement press conference last weekend," meaning the last game at Syracuse. So who knows? I would have loved to listen to Dan Patrick, just hear what Dan Patrick had to say, just so that we could get his opinion on, so I can say, I feel a little easier saying it is a retirement, but it doesn't look like it's a retirement to me. There was some sort of a coup where, okay, you didn't make it to the tournament. You lost this game to Wake Forest, lost to Wake Forest on a three that it was a great shot by the Wake Forest guard. But in the end, it doesn't look like it's a retirement to me. But maybe when things settle down, maybe Jim Boeheim talks to Dan Patrick, because he was on there a couple of times over the last couple of years. Dan Patrick is my source for a lot of things, but I'm so far behind on my podcast right now that I'm eventually going to get caught up. But especially the ones I listen to on a daily basis. So, but it, eventually you get fired, eventually you retire, eventually you get forced out, whatever the situation is. Patrick Ewing, I do feel bad, even though his teams have sucked the last couple of years. And Jim Boeheim, it's something just doesn't seem like this is a retirement. I think this was more of a force out than it was anything else. And I don't know if they have any explaining to do, but either way, it just doesn't seem right. So, so we'll see what happens with that in the next couple of weeks. But we are getting to championship week, going through championship week right now. Play Action Real said I took a future on Washington at the beginning of the season. On Syracuse. That basically was wasting money. Syracuse hasn't done much in the last couple of years. They got to the NCAA Final Four a couple of years ago when they shouldn't even been in the tourney, because they were like in the 70s. And it's like, It's like they didn't even need they probably weren't even going to make the NIT, and oh, we'll just put them in. Yeah, yeah, we'll put them in because it's Syracuse. Okay, I don't feel as bad. I do feel bad for you now. Just to let for people that are listening after the fact, Play Action Reel played a $2 wager on that. It was a $2 wager, but it wasn't a dollar wager. Uh, so you know, better than nothing. You know, it isn't like you bet 25, 50, or in my case with the Phillies wager with the World Series last season, $100. But that was only because I had a really good feeling and I looked good until November. I looked good until game 6 of the World Series. But yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes you sometimes you hit a sometimes you hit a gold mine, you hit that miracle wager on a $2 bet. Next thing you know, you're still cashing for 1,000. Or a case like me, um, you know, and Play Action Reel says he has about 20 future bets out there. Um, Now, one question I have is: are these all for college basketball, or is this like 4 or 5 for college basketball, a couple for NBA, a couple of hockey, something like that? That's what I mean. Like, are they spread over a couple different sports, or is it all one sport? That's one question I have for you here. Okay, he's very spread. Okay. Yeah, because I'm the type of person where, and this is probably something that I'm going to do going forward, especially when football season comes around again. Um, what I've done the last couple of years, I think it's the last 3 years I've done, because I did it on Luigi's show, and he's like, Jesus Christ, you have no life. You have a whole spreadsheet there? I'm like, hey, I was bored at work. Uh, but yeah, I mean, that's what I did the one time. Um, I had, but I'm not the type of person that's going to put 5, 10 different future wagers in, because if I'm going to do something, it's a gut feeling, or I hear good things, um, or I just have a feeling about something, like I did with the Phillies. Um, but I don't, I mean, I'm not going to spread 20 different ways. If I put in 20 wagers, it's going to be 20 different leagues, one per league. I'm not going to put like, well, let me rephrase that. Like, for example, I could go through the baseball thing and say, okay, well, the Phillies are over under 86 wins, or whatever the number is. Okay, I'll go over. Um, Washington Nationals, 59 and a half. I'll go under, something like that. I mean, something that's beyond Captain Obvious, and not something that is a huge minus number on the odds board. Because one thing is, I say this a lot of times when I make my picks. Um, I will make a when I make my wagers, especially with the point spread, I try not to go too often over, in terms of the number. I'm talking about the number value, not necessarily, so if it's actually lower than 110, meaning 115, if that value is higher than 110, so let's say it's minus 115, 120, I'm not touching it. I very rarely touch a minus odds on a wager. Like, for example, the Cal State Fullerton game that I had against Hawaii. I played a money line, because one thing I will tell you, and this may be a how I wager type of thing in the sports book, and it may be I mean, this could probably be a show unto itself, where get into the mind of Joe Quills. But and I said this a couple of times on podcasts. Cal State Fullerton was a 1-point underdog, and it was at minus 110. So the chances of basically a 1 point spread like that, it's basically a pick 'em game anyway with the way that college basketball is. Because if you lose by 1 point, it's a push. So the one thing I always say is with a really small point spread like that, why pay minus 110 for getting 1 point when the money line was minus 103? And with it being minus 103, I will save 7% on my wager if I lose. And trust me, I almost lost tonight because I had um because Fullerton was up 3, Hawaii tied the game at the buzzer to send it to overtime. Fullerton was down most of the game. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm going to go over 2." I mean, I looked away from the computer halftime. Seattle was winning over Grand Canyon by 8. They ended up losing, but it was a plus 120. So I mean, I'm not losing anything extra. And you know the and Fullerton came back to win. So basically, I ended up basically even, lost a little bit, lost about 3%, but it ain't that big of a deal. So sometimes you got to look at the odds, and if you know what the board says, and I'm not an expert. I talk a good game, but I'm not the type of person who is the expert. I have hot streaks, I have cold streaks. I have some weekends where it's like I'm just throwing money away. And I will tell you as well, when I make my picks on my podcast, there are the weekends where I just say, these are my picks, but it's rent week, so I'm not going to be playing. But if I was playing, these are my picks. So I'm always going to be upfront with you guys. I'm not going to bullshit you, at least not often. But I'm bummed. But um, you know, and also, anytime you hear me say to take the Jets, this is what you got to say.
The goddamn jet.
Well, that cut off there. Kid says, the waitress goes, "What are you doing? Watching football? Who are you rooting for? The goddamn Jets." But yeah, so I mean that could probably be an episode unto itself. The amateur mind, because I will tell you one thing. You know, I mean, like I said, I talk a good game, but it's all in good fun. I'm not going to go crazy. I'll make fun of myself, and we have fun. That's what it's all about. This is what this podcast and stream is all about. To have fun, reach out with you guys, talk some sports, talk some other topics like I'm going to get into in a couple of minutes, and whatever else that comes to mind. Because if anytime you come in here and you want to pop in and knock, go right ahead. We'll have some fun, and we can talk about whatever, and we'll go from there. So, um, so yeah, I mean, because there are other coaches um, that have been let go. Cal Berkeley fired their coach after going 3-29 this year. Man, if you're a first year coach and you go 3-29 in Pac-12, you're gone. The head coach for American University is out after 10 years. Texas Tech's coach Mark Adams stepped down. The school announced Wednesday night after he was suspended for using what the school called an inappropriate, unacceptable, and racially insensitive comment. And the one thing is, I don't care who you are. It's just you just gotta move on. You just gotta say, you know what, I can't say that. And that's why, especially when I'm working or when I'm talking, whenever I'm going to use a work example, I'm always prefacing things. I'm always overqualifying things because I'm not having somebody said, Joe said this. And if somebody comes back to me, I'll say, no, 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 no. Because, even the union stuff that I do, because there's work Joe, there's union Joe, and then there's let me tell you what I think, Joe. And tell you what I think, Joe, may be mutually exclusive from the work and the union talk. So, Play Action Reel said Brett Favre was the same age as Rodgers when he went to the Jets. Rodgers can't have number 12. That's Broadway Joe's. Facts. But the one thing is with that is, I doubt it happens, but it's always possible that you could unretire the number. But, like, for example, let's talk about a Hall of Fame quarterback that got traded near the end of his career, Joe Montana. And only because when I was doing my monthly performance review at work, we were talking sports for 5 minutes. And, my manager is a Patriots fan. He lives in upstate New York. So, we were talking about the GOATs and everything. And he was saying, what do I think about possibly Tom Brady coming back? I'm like, the way this NFL is the way the NFL is now, where basically you can't touch a quarterback for the most part. The rules protecting the quarterback. The rules of protecting the quarterback allows a quarterback to go into their 40s, which Aaron Rodgers will be doing this year because he's 39 now. I don't know when his birthday is, so he may not turn 40 until after next season. I don't know. I don't care. Just throw the ball around and do what you're supposed to do. But I don't even know what Aaron Rodgers wore in college, nor did I care, but he did go to Cal, so going back to Aaron Rodgers, Jets are confident that they will get Aaron Rodgers, and it may be that the Packers will say, just give us good enough compensation and he's all yours. And the way that he's turning into Brett Favre 2.0 in a way, that really tells me with allowing the Jets to talk to them, it's a sign to me that the Packers just want to get rid of him, move on with the Jordan Love era, even if it is a 1-year era, because you never know. Jordan Love may fall completely on his face, and they're drafting a quarterback next year. You never know until something happens. December is his birthday. Okay, so he'll probably have a game day birthday where they'll pull out the wheelchair and say, "Happy birthday!" All right, maybe not, but maybe his psychedelic pusher, once he gets to New York, maybe he gives him some ayahuasca for his birthday. Who knows? But yeah, so I just pulled it up here and I lost it here. 1 second. According to ESPN, this article was posted this morning. What up, peyote? What up, ayahuasca? Yeah, according to this article that I see right now, the Jets are becoming more confident in their chances of landing Aaron Rodgers. Sources close to the situation tell Diana Rossini. The increasing optimism follows their meeting with with the Green Bay Packers quarterback. Okay, I saw an NFL alert come up on my screen. I thought it was maybe something related to this, but it wasn't. Um, Jets contingent went out there. Woody Johnson Yoder felt excited and satisfied with the potential match. Jets and Packers remain engaged in conversations for possible trade compensation. Um, Now, if he does get traded to the Jets, his contract would not hamper the Jets salary cap situation that much. Um, According to ESPN, Aaron Rodgers would only count 15.8 million against the cap in 2023 and 32.5 million in 2024. It's a cap friendly; those are cap friendly numbers for a player of his stature. The Packers, however, would get hit with a $40.3 million dead charge in 2023, nearly $9 million more than he would count if he were on the roster. So, but you never know. We don't know what's going to happen, and it's just that things can change in a moment's notice. Look at Derek Carr. We didn't think he was going to the Saints. He went there, he left there, went to another team or two or whatever, and he signs with the Saints and got approximately 38 a year, I think it was. So he got some money as well, but he's going to get that. Daniel Jones got 40 million. The Saints made sense for him. They still got weapons. Daniel Jones got 40 million a year. That's mind-boggling because he's not a $40 million quarterback. He's not a 30 million quarterback. But from what I heard, watching that stream I was mentioning on another site, we know what it is. It reminds you of Jim Eisenreich back in 1993. Fuck you. Sorry. But she said that he first wanted 48 million a year from the Giants. His agents talked him down to 45, and then they came to the middle where at 40. Still way too much if you ask me. Actually, there's another name I could have pulled, which would have been a good pull as well. Because Play Action Reel said, nice pull there with Jim Eisenreich. Another good pull that I would have brought out, Chris Jackson, also known as Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. He had a bad case of Tourette's as well. But I know I shouldn't be making fun of people with their issues, but because it is it's a scary thing when it is out of control. Like Jim Eisenreich quit baseball for a couple of years, for God's sake, and affected Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf as well, even though he signed his own retirement papers when he was I don't want to say protesting the anthem, but it was more a religious thing than it was anything else. Religious protest. I mean, it was something with his religion that did it. So, whatever with him. So, but, But I mean, Daniel Jones is making way too much money for a guy who hasn't thrown more touchdowns in a season than games played. Because last year, 15 touchdown passes, 16 games played. Now, one thing my friend who is a Giants fan, and I told her a couple of times if we hooked up and got into a relationship and everything, I said, "Hey, I'm okay with being cut off 2 to 3 times a year when when our teams play." But it's just a joke thing I say on Twitch. All right, I'll say it. It's on Twitch, but I'm I'm joking around. They know I'm joking around. She knows I'm joking around. I'm just having fun. I have fun with everything I do. Whether, well, I don't have fun working. That's the only thing I don't have fun with. Uh but I'm just having fun. And once you understand my sense of humor, you understand, you know, you understand the jokes where they come from. And if there's something that really comes out of left field, it's like, where the fuck did that come from? Then you start wondering. But I just try to be the just the I try to let everything flow off the back, but trust me, it doesn't work. I take things way too seriously sometimes. I try to be that guy that, not too much bothers me, be as calm as I can. But there's always going to be something that gets on my nerves. So, um, and since we're talking about things that get on my nerves, um, one thing I will say here. Um, I did tease that I was going to talk about this tonight. Um, in most of the country, I say most because, you know, Arizona, they're their own special breed. And thankfully, I don't have any connecting flights in Arizona where um, I don't have any connecting flights coming up in Arizona. Actually, I don't have any flights coming up until probably June when I go to Vegas if I go there. But um, because one of the last times I flew Southwest to Vegas, and I think my phone reset while I was in the air somehow, even though I did have it in airplane mode. Um, I was like, "What? What time is it? Is it 7 o'clock? Is it 6 o'clock? What is it?" So I don't know if it was. I don't know if Arizona was 2 hours behind Philly at the time or three. It's irrelevant. But I was like, you know what? I know my flight is going to be leaving in an hour or two, whenever that is. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to sit my ass down on this chair. I'm going to play I'm going to laptop. I'm just going to wait till they say now boarding for flight whatever from Phoenix to Vegas. That's how you make sure you don't miss your flight and all the confusion of your phone resetting and stuff like that. You just say, I'm not moving. Well, maybe I'll get up to take a leak, but that's about it. But going back to daylight savings time, so just a reminder, Tuesday night I will be live at 8 p.m. One of my final 8 p.m. shows for a while. That's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Arizona, go fuck yourself. Figure it out for yourself. I'm kidding when you play action reel. Just, I know it's going to be 5 o'clock there. Um, so, about daylight savings time. And there are two things that annoy me. And one of it is fake news. You know how everything that the former president said was fake news, and then everybody on the right would say, "Oh, that's fake news. That's fake news." Remember all that? Matter of fact, I think we still get it now. And Mickey, welcome on in as well. I'll tell you what. There's two things that annoy me to no end. The first thing is, and you're going to be hearing it. No, you're not late, Mickey. I know that. I know a couple of things that you were mentioning to me earlier today while I was working. So, it's all cool. One thing that annoys me to no end is you lose an hour of sleep when the clocks go forward on Saturday night, early Sunday morning. Do I have a? Oh, well, I'm going to school you on something here. So, you do not lose an hour of sleep. Okay? What happens is you wake up an hour later, unless you're a type of person that needs to set an alarm because you got to go to work the next day. Because truthfully, it's a lie. There's a little confusion in the morning. Well, most of us won't have the confusion because I'm sure most of us have had smartphones for 5, 10, 15 years now. I know I'm an Apple user for the last 10 or 12. I know some people swear by Androids. They're the same way as well. Once 2 o'clock hits, it'll go to 3 o'clock automatically. So, except for Arizona's, but like I said, fuck them. I'm kidding. But, but when they tell you you're going to lose an hour of sleep, you're not losing an hour of sleep. Not unless that you're extremely paranoid and you put 10 alarms on your phone instead of 6 like I do to make sure I can get up for work in the morning. But it just annoys me to no end because, you're not losing an hour of sleep. You're just entering the shortest day of the year. And I know you're going to say, wait, the shortest day of the year is the first day of winter. Well, daylight hours, yeah. But in terms of the shortest day of the year, Manuel Lewis probably celebrates it, because he's a little guy, because it's a 23-hour day. It is the shortest day of the year, technically. So, because you just got one less hour to do anything you want to do. And I can tell you from used to working overnights at my current job, this Saturday night was the night to work overnights because you would only have to work 7 hours, but you would get paid for 8. Awesome. Because guess what? You don't, anytime you get 8 hours and you only have to work 7, you get a free hour of pay. Anything you can get for free is awesome. And, yeah, I see that, Mickey. Thanks. Flyers are down 1-0 after 2 as well. But I'll tell you one thing. It just annoys me to no end when the news says you're losing an hour's sleep. Now I know why a lot of people have trust issues with the news, whether you lean to the right and you're watching left-leaning newscasts, or vice versa. Me, I'm not that political. I do lean left, but I'll listen to the right side, the right side of the political spectrum. I'll listen to you because I want to know what your talking points are. And also, I'm not the type of person that's just going to say, straight down Democrat. Boom, done. Thank you. I will occasionally vote Republican. Probably going to vote Republican for mayor here in Philadelphia again. There's actually a guy who's running for mayor in Philadelphia who actually is a politician and not someone who's a rhino. I know the guy will definitely get my vote if the guy that I think that's going to win right now will get it, because I don't know what the preliminary polls are for the city of Philadelphia, but when your leading candidate looks like the child molester looking principal from Billy Madison, I'm definitely staying away from him. The guy's name is Alan Domb, D-O-M-B. Take a look at him and you'll see what I mean about the looking like that character from Billy Madison. The guy who's the principal, who is a professional wrestler, that there was an accident in the ring where he actually suffocated a guy because he was so fucking fat. But you get the idea. But Mickey goes both ways. Congratulations, Mickey. No, seriously, I know what you mean. I know what you meant there, Mickey. I'm just in that sort of a goofy mood here. So, also, Mickey, let me find this here. Mickey, we did get you something because I heard you're under the weather. And I know that you would definitely enjoy this. So, for my gift to you, Play Action Reel will probably join in on this as well. Here you go.
Thanks.
I heard that you were feeling ill. Headache, fever, and a chill. I came to help restore your pluck, 'cause I'm the nurse who likes to...
That's what I had planned for you, Mickey. Hope you get a good laugh out of that, because that's my favorite thing to post when somebody says they're under the weather. So and I'm not going to go into details, Mickey. Don't worry about that. That's our little secret, because not only because of HIPAA laws, but because I respect the person's privacy, and what you told me is going to stay between you and me. So I had to do that. So, Mickey, hope you feel better. And but yeah, the losing hours sleep, that's bullshit, if you ask me. Because what happens when you stay up when you stay up to 2:00 when it becomes 3:00? You lost an hour while awake, so you're not losing that hour of sleep. But to each their own. Believe what you want to believe. But the one good thing about clocks going forward, even though I'm going to mess around with people in the days leading up saying spring back, fall forward. The one good thing is, at least here in in my part of the world, I know Mickey's part of the world, once it gets to summer, those first few days of the summer, I know from being in Seattle in the beginning, when the first days of summer hit, the sun doesn't set in the state of Washington, especially the Seattle area, until 9:15 at night. So, I mean, it is a little bit of a culture shock, even for me, for a guy who's used to 8:30 being late for the sun. But the good news is, starting Sunday, the sun will be setting around 7:00. So, even though the weather may not be warm, it'll still be still be getting darker later, even though people want to get rid of daylight savings time, whether you're a person that wants standard time 365 days a year, or you want to do what the government wants to do, which is make it permanent daylight savings time. So no matter where you stand on there. Um, no, Mickey, I'm just going to keep it as under the weather. It doesn't matter if it's you or anybody else. I respect everybody's right to privacy. Um, so just the way that I am. Unless it was my sister, then if it was my sister, she's got crabs. I'll make stuff up. But but yeah. And for the record, she does not have crabs. So if anybody IMs me, especially family members, say, did you say she has crabs? I corrected 5 seconds later, but with selective editing with videos, I'm sure that will get to somebody. So but yeah, I can't tell you how many times I got corrected for certain things I posted on Facebook. My dad goes, stop mentioning things about your sister on Facebook or about family and blah, blah, blah. Well, the one time, and here we go on a tangent here. The one time when I was finishing up my bachelor's degree, this had to be around 2010, 2011, something in that range. And I was taking a weather class on campus. And at that time, my employer was not capping the tuition assistance at $8,000. They were paying for every dime of your tuition. So I talked to my counselor before I was picking classes that September. Think I finished in September. Counselor said, I said, I want to take these weather classes because the way my credits were, with going to Drexel, they have a quarterly system. So instead of the 120 credits you need to graduate, I needed 180. And I was before those two weather classes, I had 172 credits. I wasn't taking three classes at 3 credits to get to 181. I wanted to hit 180 on the nose. I said, you know what? I'll take these 2 weather classes, three 1-hour classes, and then a lab on Thursday. I'm right down the street from the campus. Just hop on the L, go from 8th Street to 34th Street, walk down the street. I'm in campus. I'm actually in the building. So that's what I did. And the counselor said, well, it's going to cost you, I think it was like $200 a credit more per class because you're an online student. I said, I'm not paying for it. Fuck it. I'm taking it. And I did, got the okay, took the classes, got my degree. So, but yeah. So, but yeah, the first thing about daily savings time I don't like is that lose an hour of sleep comment that you get from the media. Second one is, and first, I will say this. If you see my posts on Twitter, which ends up going as a screenshot onto Instagram, which I will post on an Insta story because I want to see how many people are actually seeing these things. So I get to see who's watched my Insta stories, and my Insta stories goes automatically to my Facebook stories because Instagram is part of Facebook, which is part of the Meta Corporation. So what I do is I promote that way, and I can see how many people are looking at my shit that way. Because, I could just post a picture and have it go to Facebook and the picture itself. But the thing is, with the picture itself, I'm not seeing how many eyes are seeing this. But at least with the stories, I can. So one thing you will notice is that I always say ET. No, not ET phone home. But the one thing I do say is, one thing that annoys me to no end, even after the clocks go forward, And I get this with the old people that call at work who say, "What time is it in Eastern Standard Time?" And let's pretend it's next week. It annoys me to no end that when the clocks go forward, they still give an indication of Eastern Standard Time, or EST. That annoys me to no end. And I went on a rant about it last spring, last summer, whenever it was. And I think I got a lighten up Francis type of a response from somebody, rightfully so. But, it was partially in fun, partially pissing people off. Mickey said, "I really do not want to see your shit. Keep that to yourself. Trust me, you don't want to see it. Trust me." And I'll make sure I double flush if I have to just to make sure. But seriously, the fact that everybody puts EST instead of EDT for Eastern Daylight Time when the time comes on Sunday, that annoys me to no end. Now, granted, first couple of days I can understand it. It's kind of like, remember when we used to write checks? We would get that grace period in January because we would write 2022 on there instead of 2023. It happens. The great thing is when you're typing something, when you're typing a document on Microsoft Word, for example, and you do 1/1/ and it fills in 2023. Okay, boom, thank you. It just annoys me that people, even though you do have sunrise at 7:30 next week instead of 6:30, and then you'll get sunset at 7:00, 7:15, whatever it is here in Philly. It just annoys me that they still refer to date from March to beginning of November as daylight Eastern Standard Time, for example. Now, of course, Arizona, that's something different. Arizona's their own thing, but it just bugs me to no end that we're in daylight savings time, or is it saving time? Whatever. Leave off the last S for proper verbiage, I guess. But, that just annoys me to no end as well. And, maybe, it is what it is. And I'm just, it's kind of like me, the curmudgeon, yelling at a cloud for no reason, that sort of thing. But whatever. So yeah, those are things that I do not like about daylight savings time. Yeah, I know. When I first mentioned, I'm sure you said, "Oh, he doesn't like the clocks going forward. He doesn't like the clocks going back." The change in the internal clock. No, it's not that for me. It's actually the all the stupid people, as I call them, using stuff like Eastern Standard Time when it's still Eastern Daylight Time in the middle of June. Those type of people. And so that's what annoys me to no end. So we got the college basketball done. Didn't plan on talking football, but we did. And didn't sidetrack me play action reel, but we're talking, we're having fun here tonight. The daylight savings time thing was something that I wanted to mention. And here's the other thing I had planned for tonight. I actually saw one of my friends who I know from the Free For All show that I was a part of until it went on hiatus about a year ago. It's not what I wanted. I saw one of my friends post, and before I get into my last major point that I was going to talk about. Play Action Reel says, we don't do daylight savings time in Arizona, so you start your show an hour earlier to me, which is true. But the thing is, starting on the, I need to look at a calendar here. I think I'm going to start on the 21st, even though I'm off on the 21st, that Tuesday. Definitely on the 23rd. I am going an hour later because of work. Because basically what I did was, well, I'm at the bottom of the list in terms of my office, even though I have almost 24 years in my company, because the department I'm in, they haven't hired in years. So everybody was pushing for the earliest out. So I was like, okay, well, you guys want the late shift. You guys all want the early shift. You guys are all going to fight over that. I'm going to go in the opposite direction here. I'm going to zag and tell you, well, I want the latest tour or shift. So I'm basically working 1 to 9 right now. And I do have a fantasy football, a fantasy baseball draft coming up on Monday, the 27th. And if he listens to my podcast after the fact, Mike Abadir, thank you very much. You didn't have to give me that 15-minute grace period. Our fantasy draft is at 9:15 on the 26th. Do appreciate that. You know, I would have been happy with 9 o'clock. I would have started the draft on my work computer, even though not supposed to get into fantasy football or baseball on there, but they haven't blocked the pages on that computer. Well, at least they didn't the last time I looked there. So, but, so this Tuesday coming up, I will be at 8 o'clock Eastern, which will be 5 o'clock out there. Because you'll be 3 hours behind me, because you'll be same time as California and Vegas, I believe. Let me just make sure I got my timing right on here. So, because you'll be lined up with, because you line up with the Pacific time zone when it comes to the summer hours, and in the winter hours you time up with the mountain time zone, if I'm correct. And if I'm wrong, not the first time tonight. So okay, good. So I was right. So you'll be on the Pacific time starting next week. So in Arizona, the show will start as, in Arizona, it will start at 5 o'clock. I still have to contact my buddy just to confirm that he will be in town, because one of my buddies from Vegas and the Free For All show, he should be in town that Thursday. He's going to be on a red eye on Wednesday night into Thursday morning. He showed me the itinerary, and I just need to confirm that, because when he tagged me in this tweet, I said, you know, let me confirm that I am off, because if that's the case, I can give you a tour. And then he tagged this girl who is now working in Allentown. She's from Vegas, my mortal enemy, my arch rival, you know, just having fun with her. But yeah. So we may be giving him the tour, because the story goes that he was watching one of the Rocky movies with his son, and his son said, "Are those Rocky steps real?" You know, the kid's only 13 years old, He's lived in Vegas his whole life. I understand that question. I'm not going to be the type of person that'll say, "Are you a moron?" Because I understand that question. Being a kid, you can't believe everything that's in a movie. So I understand why he said it. I would have been perfectly fine with that if he said that in front of me. And Nick goes, "Yeah, that's a real thing." And they build a trip just so that they can go to Philly, come here to Philly and see the Rocky Steps. I'll plan for a couple other things, hopefully, because I am off that Thursday. So that Thursday, the 16th, I will not have a show. But if I confirm that he's not coming, then I will create a last minute, boom, it'll be a 8 o'clock start. So it'll be 5 o'clock, 5 o'clock show in Arizona. So just give you an update on that. So I was talking to one of my female friends that was on the show, or was on the show, the free for all show, and she was the one. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to show you this video because I'm just going to show you about the one time someone almost broke into my house, or broke into my apartment here. No, I do want to mute that. Hold on. Let me find it here. It's in my history here. It's here. Trust me. Let me find it. There we go. I found it. This was from last May. I was just getting COVID. Play Action Reel probably saw this before. Stephen Luker came in. Welcome aboard, Stephen. You may have seen this video. You may not have. I do not think that Mickey saw this video. So that's why I'm pulling it up again. This is from the show called Free for All. It was a show that was on Twitch. It's in hiatus right now. Yeah, Mickey, Washington State, they do move their clocks forward an hour. So Arizona doesn't move their time. So they go from Mountain Time to aligning with the Pacific Coast time. But here's a video that I'm mentioning before. This is from last May. And the girl I was playing against in this game called Dongle, because we were playing for Vietnamese Dong. One, because of the double entendre that was involved, and also because the currency exchange from Vietnamese Dong to American dollars was cost effective for them. And while I have that, I will tell you how cost effective it is, because we used to play Dong or no Dong, which is basically deal or no deal in Vietnamese Dong. So I'm going to show you why it was so economical for him. Hey Google, what is 1 million Vietnamese Dong in USD?
1 million Vietnamese dongs is approximately $42.24.
You see why it's see why it was so economical for him? Now, not many people got 1 million dong on the show. I mean, a lot of people were getting 3 cents, 12 cents, insanely low amounts. So, but one of the preliminary games was Dongle, which was based on the old game show, Scrabble with Chuck Woolery. long before he turned into a right-wing nut job. And there's also left-wing nut jobs too. So I'm not bashing him for being a right-winger, but here's the video, and probably giving Stephen Luker an idea for a show. Going to show game shows on his thing if he can find it. But here you go.
With this. So do I have to pick an R or solve it?
You have to pick the R or solve it. 2 seconds.
Okay, R.
There you go. Where the f*** you going? Oh, is this his food?
Big Sausage Pizza has a
I heard you wanted extra sausage in your pizza.
That doesn't look like a big sausage pizza.
We're just going to wait here. Wait, you didn't have any food.
Jehovah's Witness?
What happened there? Is I thought you had food coming.
Oops, hold on.
Wait, you didn't have any food.
Jehovah's Witness?
What happened there? Is I thought you had food coming or something. What's going on?
No, somebody.
We're just going to wait here.
Okay. The girl in the lower right, she's the one that I was talking to on Twitter today. So just to give you an idea.
Wait, you didn't have any food.
Jehovah's Witness?
What happened there? Is I thought you had food coming or something. What's going on?
No, somebody was trying to get into my apartment here.
Oh.
And how did that
see me
go?
Did you?
No.
They said no speak English, and I said, "Can I help you?" And they said no speak English, and they left.
Just because you don't speak English, you should know what door to go to. I mean, that's a little sus.
That's what they said.
Little sus. That's well. There we go.
Yeah. So, so I was talking to her on. I actually saw one of her tweets, like 10 seconds after she posted, and it was basically the post was, she was joking around. She said, adding a little, "it is what it is" to my YOLO. So since she said YOLO, I'm thinking of anything I could say. Annoying acronym like that. So I said, "What about FOMO?" And then she said, "Oh, FOMO always gets me." And I said, "I have a FOMO situation right now, and I used it to promote the show tonight." And Trevor, welcome in. But I do have a FOMO moment that I don't know if you can actually call FOMO, because I'm actually going to miss out on it, because the one thing that, I experienced it once. And I think we were still in our old office at the time. So it's probably around 2006, 2007, something like that. We were still in Delaware County. And we went to, we were working at the Spectrum, because the Atlantic 10 tournament used to be there every year, and got to see the end of the A10 championship game, which was really cool. So the one thing is, and it happened, it was probably around 2019, 2018. I was in Atlantic City. And when you walk down the boardwalk, you have all these different monitors that are there, and they promote different things. And one was the MAC tournament, the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference. I'm like, hey, that's something different. Maybe I'll go there. I don't have a horse in the race when it comes to the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, or the Metro Atlantic Athletic, whatever, MAAC. So when I say MAC, it's that, and not the MAC, which is the Mid-American Conference, which is mostly in Ohio and whatever in the Midwest. But I said, "Oh, I'm experiencing a FOMO moment here," but it's, is it really FOMO when I know I am going to miss out on it? Because I wanted to go see a game down in Atlantic City, and the way that the conference tournament works out great for my work schedule, because I can go down there for the championship game, spend a couple hours down there, come back home. Well, it will actually be a day, but I'll go gamble a little bit in one of the casinos, and then head over to Boardwalk Hall and watch the game there. But the championship game the last couple of years, because the championship games are all governed by ESPN basically, except for maybe the Big Ten, the Atlantic 10, because those are on CBS. But for the most part, all the championship games are on ESPN, and they basically dictate, okay, your championship game is here. Figure out your earlier rounds on your own, and maybe we'll have it on there. If you're surplus games, then you're going to be on ESPN Plus, like those 2 games I bet on earlier tonight, that sort of thing. So, I looked at the schedule a couple of days ago. I'm like, oh yeah, the MAC tournament. So I look, championship game is at 7:30 this year. It used to be like 4, 5, 5:30, something like that. Used to be on ESPNU or ESPN 8 The Ocho or whatever channel. I think it's on ESPN2 this year, but either way, it's not till 7:30. So the game gets out at 10. I'm not getting home till about 1. So, why put all that stress on me, even though I'm going to be starting to work later hours? Why do that? I'd rather, in that case, since the game's so late, why not enjoy 10, 12 games that day, gamble on those games, gamble on the horses, do whatever, and just relax all day. So I don't have any fear of missing out. It's just that the time for the championship game sucks for me this year. Because, I'd like to go down for a game, if I had vacation days, I don't, because I planned them out accordingly, because took advantage of having vacation weeks on a holiday week this year. So I can extend my birthday vacation, because this year's a big birthday this year for me. But, nothing, it's just, it isn't, it isn't me doing whatever. It's just, I just don't want to be getting home at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning from down the shore, So I would have loved to have done that, but unfortunately, it's not a fear of missing out. It's choosing to miss out on something. So, but yeah, that's basically what happened with me there. So, yeah, so that's some of the behind the scenes stuff that I was doing that wasn't necessarily sports related. Me starting to complain about daylight savings time, yelling at clouds, being the curmudgeon, and talking with one of my friends on one of my friends on Twitter. And I don't think, where was it? And to your comment, she's nice. She's a crazy in a good way. But I've never met her in person. So when she's going to Vegas for free for all get-togethers, I couldn't make it. And when I went there, just the way things work out. So we joke around because we're all part of that free for all network that I talk about all the time. And, now we have the Bleacher Brothers network. We got the Tony Bruno Show network. And what I mean by network in this case is the network of friends and colleagues and all that shit. So, but yeah, it's all, that's what it's all about, growing your network. You never know when somebody can help you out with something, and never burn that bridge, because you never know when somebody's going to come back into your professional life, because, you burn that bridge, they can make your life one living hell. So, one last thing I did see here, and I saw the video Actually, you know what? Let me go with 2 more stories here. Actually, yeah, we'll go with 2 here. Kevin Durant. And before I go to Kevin Durant's story here, Play Action Reel said exactly, it's a good network of friends. And I'm lucky to have 3 groups that, one way or another, whether it's just joking around with somebody or, that free for all network is good, but, but it's not like, it's our leader went on sabbatical because he got a morning radio job in Vegas. So, because he was an afternoon DJ, he left the one station, was still doing his free for all show, was trying to get a morning show job. He got that job in Vegas. So that's one of the reasons why, because, you're married and you have 2 young kids and, there's only so many hours in a day. So that's why free for all show was in hiatus. Bleacher Brothers, that network of friends is growing. The Tony Bruno group, that's growing. And also the fact that, it's 3 strong groups that I have right now. So, and we always joke around about things. So, and, we always support each other, joke around, whatever. So, and thankfully my one friend in Vegas did tag me on that, letting me know he was going to be in town next week. So it's just a matter of working out the details with that. So, yeah, exactly. We kid because we care. Exactly. Now, I'm not sure if you saw this video. I saw the video on TV this morning, I think it was. I didn't take time to look for it because this is something I'm adding that I didn't have planned to talk about. But Kevin Durant had a little bit of bad luck yesterday. He's expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks because of a left ankle injury. He has a left ankle sprain, will be reevaluated in 3 weeks. All right, so if you're reevaluating in 3 weeks, then why is it that he's missing 2? Never mind. Anyways, he slipped and injured his ankle during pregame warmups on Wednesday, knocking him out of what was supposed to be his first home game with the Suns. Let me see if this is what the video that I want to see here. Got to get through this ad here, which I'm not playing for you guys. Okay, I'll let you be the judge of this here. Let me go back here. Okay. I'll let you guys decide. Because I thought when I first saw it, I thought maybe he just hit a wet spot here. Here's a video from somebody's Twitter. Actually, yeah, he just rolled his ankle there. Okay. So I thought at first, when I first saw this, I thought it was just he hit a wet spot. And that may have been a wet spot, but he just rolled his ankle. It's something that that I would do all the time. I still do it once in a while, even though I'm not athletically active like I used to be. But yeah, those things happen. I don't care. It happens even it would even happen to Cal Ripken Jr., but he would be like, just tape that shit up. I'm playing. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a fragile thing, like play action reels suggesting. I just think that something like that, knowing from being a guy who sprained his ankles so many times, that I just think it's just a unfortunate thing to happen. But I mean, yeah, he is fragile. He has had his case of injuries over his career, but it definitely wasn't. I thought at first it was just a wet spot thing, but you could see his ankle turning on there. So, and Mickey, the Flyers lost 1-0. I mean, he is 35 years old, so it isn't like he's. It's not like he's 23 or just coming out of the University of Texas. I mean, because he's got a lot of miles on there, a lot less miles than LeBron, but he's had a lot more injuries than LeBron had, trust me. And a lot of them at the worst times, like that Achilles tear that he had in the NBA Finals the one year. But whether you want to blame that on being fragile, or you want to try to look at it like I'm trying to look at it as just a freak thing that happened. Either way, he's going to be out a few more weeks, which is unfortunate for the Suns because they made that trade for him. So, and I'm not sure if you heard about this. I'm sure you probably did, but I'm giving benefit of the doubt here just in case. But ex-NBA star Shawn Kemp was booked for investigation of felony drive-by shooting shortly before 6 p.m. local time Wednesday in Tacoma. Online jail record show. Now, I guarantee you Mickey heard about that since he's in Washington State. But from what I see here, no charges are immediately being filed against him following his arrest for that drive-by shooting. Now, the way that it's worded here, spokesperson for Pierce County Prosecutor's Office said no charges were immediately being filed against Kemp, and that he was released from jail pending further investigation. So it's possible he could still be charged here. It's like, what the hell happened that he ended up doing something like that. And it looks like from what I'm seeing here in the story, it was an incident at Tacoma Mall that led to shots being fired early Wednesday afternoon. No injuries were reported. One of the cars fled the scene. The gun was recovered. Kemp's attorney, Scott Boatman, said that Kemp's car was broken into and numerous items, including an iPhone, were stolen. He tracked his iPhone to an occupied car and was shot when he approached the vehicle. Kemp then returned fire in self-defense. So part of this is going to be he said, she said, apparently. And we'll find out what happens, because I'm sure this is eventually going to go to court. He's going to get charged, unless you believe that he was in self-defense here. But that was something that came up on my phone yesterday. That was just like something that I saw that I wanted to mention here, because it's like, even well after your career's over, you're still, and I'm hoping it was done it was a self-defense issue and not anything else. But The truth will come out when it eventually gets to court. So, Mickey asked me, did you hear about the Flyer player, Tony? I can't remember his last name. Tony D'Angelo. He in the game against Tampa Bay, he speared a Tampa Bay player right in the huevos, the balls. And I think I know what the guy said here. This is what the Lightning player said before he kicked the shit out of Tony D'Angelo.
Oh, my balls!
So yeah, he got suspended 2 games, and still it's a dangerous play, even though his blade was turned upside down, so he wasn't hitting him with the edge of the blade, because usually you just go, but he was going like that, but his blade was upside down. So I think what probably would happen was if he was cup checking him as an actual spear, he probably would have gotten a lot more than 2 games, even though everything in the union world is progressive discipline. But there's always a case where if something is so egregious, it's like, let's say I get 3 days for cursing at a customer. Let's say the next time it happens, I get caught and it's in the middle of an observation, and I say, listen, motherfucker, blah, 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 go fuck yourself, hope you die, never said it, never will. I do have enough self-control where I will not say that to a customer. Somehow I've survived almost 24 years and not cursed at a customer. But let's say that scenario repeats itself, but it's so much more than the first case. Management can make the judgment and say, well, progressive discipline would tell me 5 instead of 3 days, but because this is so egregious, this is going to be 15 days, and next time you do it, you're gone. So you can skip steps with progressive discipline because of the fact if you have such an egregious offense. Now, in Tony D'Angelo's case, I'm wondering if the blade was, and I don't have anything here. Here, I'm going to use this stack of papers here. He went into his groin like this. So he wasn't getting the edge into the scrotum area or the cup or whatever. So he wasn't doing that. He was hitting with this part of the blade. Now, if he was hitting with the edge of the curve where he was hitting with where my finger is and going like that, then there probably would have been more gains, in my opinion. And like Play Action Reel said, D's nuts, yeah. D's nuts be hurt like a motherfucker and may have been becoming Rocky Mountain oysters as well. But thankfully, he was wearing the cup, maybe 2 cups, because in hockey, you're blocking so many shots. And, you got, if one breaks, you still have another one there. So, Tony D'Angelo got a couple of games, and, rightfully so. He deserved it. And like the Dan Patrick Show says, they call it a cup check. And I didn't see the games. I didn't see what if there was anything going on between Tony D'Angelo and and the Lightning beforehand. Like I said, when you see a viral video, you see you only see the major incident where you don't see the whole story. You just see the actual incident itself where the stick is going in the groin. He is a controversial player. There was a story, and I think he was well behaved this year. Because there was an incident when he was in Carolina. And let me just see if I can find it on here. I'm just trying to see if I can find this here, because there was a because it does say here on Wikipedia, on July 28, 2021, Carolina signed D'Angelo to a 1-year, $1 million contract. The signing was controversial among Hurricane fans. Who were aware of D'Angelo's reputation and lamenting the offseason departure of defenseman Dougie Hamilton. But after recording 8 points, so there is something else here. Okay, there was an incident on New Year's Day 2017. He was suspended 3 games for what Wikipedia calls physical assault of a referee to the Calgary Flames the day before. D'Angelo was steered away from a scrum and shoved away the official's hands. And I think there's other things here as well. I just can't find it on here. He was benched in the Rangers with the Rangers because of a maturity issue. Yeah, so there's all kind. There's stories behind him. Whether whether you call him dirty, whether you call it controversial, whatever. There is a lot of baggage with him. But this is the first incident he had with the Flyers that I know of. I haven't watched every game, but and that's why I wish Trevor was still here, because if Trevor was here, I could say, yo, Trev, fill me in what happened with Tony D'Angelo, that he has this reputation. Granted, I don't really know what it is off the top of my head. I know he has a reputation. I think there was something beyond the maturity issue, the referee issue, the lamenting. I just think he's just a real pain in the ass. Penguin Easy, what up, man? Hope you're having a good night out there. So yeah, I don't necessarily think he's a dirty player. He just has all these different He has all these different things that have happened in his career that makes him controversial. But I need to do more research on that because I know there's other things than what I'm seeing there on Wikipedia. I'm just trying to scan it real quick because of the fact that we are live here on this Thursday night here. So I wish I had a better answer for you, Mickey. So because that's the one thing I hate is when I can't give the perfect answer, so to speak. So so let me just take a peek at one more thing here. And just to give you guys a quick update here, Villanova starts in 6 minutes at 9:50. Okay, the Seeds are holding in the Big East. Xavier beat DePaul. UConn beat Providence. Marquette beat St. John's. That was a damn good game. I thought Marquette was going to lose that, but Marquette held on. Yeah, we talked about that the other night. And I'm blending shows in, so I'm probably talking about when I was watching one of my friends' streams. From what I'm seeing, is he could be Ja Morant is who Mickey is talking about. He's saying now the NBA player in the Grizzlies should be suspended for 2 years. I believe it's going to be because he had a gun on NBA property and also traveling with it. It could be a 50-plus game suspension. And basically what it is, it's all depending upon what the collective bargaining agreement and also what the code of conduct is expected for players, because it may not be necessarily in the collective bargaining agreement. It's additional things that I was going to say company because I'm thinking about my company's business code of conduct. It depends upon the code of conduct of the NBA that they agree upon with the Players Association. So, for all we know, because Ja Morant is being held out of the lineup right now during the investigation, even though the investigation with the Colorado police is over and they're not pressing charges, it does not mean that the NBA is not completed yet, because they're still investigating this. Because, okay, how did the gun get in your hands that night in that nightclub? Was it your gun? Was it somebody else's gun? Was it, if it was your gun, why did you have it with you? And like I said the other night, these private flights that the athletes have, they're not going through TSA. And the reason why they do it, because it's private flight, and you know exactly who the 20 people are that are going to be on that plane, for example. Whereas a normal commercial flight, you're going to do everything, because you never know. Somebody, a normal commercial flight. I mean, my God, we saw two stories today, or over the last couple of days. There was a story of a Southwest flight that was going from, I think it was from Dallas to Phoenix. A guy bumped a guy's wife. And I can understand why the guy got pissed at the at the guy that did the bumping because, a simple, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," something like that, that will calm down the guy's husband because, you know, things happen. You accidentally bump somebody, and was it a cock bump? No, but it might have been with a cockeye fastball. Um, so, you know, you go through all that TSA shit, and then, because you're basically in secured area. But in terms of what I read when I was looking at my phone while I was working this morning, guy bumps the guy's wife. You accidentally bump somebody. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I mean, I'm the type of person where I bump into somebody, I'm asking, are you okay? So, but in this case, from what I read in the story, the guy bumped the woman. It appears they never apologized, was acting like a total asshole. And they said that the guy that did the bumping, they played it as tattoos and all this shit. The guy and his wife, and the guy that the husband, he's got a shirt on and a suit coat on and all that. So, it's playing around with the stereotypes that you would have of people that would be fighting like this. But apparently the husband noticed the guy a couple of rows back from where they were sitting, and he got 4 or 5 good punches in before they broke up the fight and did what they had to do, and they kicked all 3 people off the plane. But but with TSA, you will find different things in there. Like, a couple of times when I went on a plane, I forgot to take one thing out, which was probably, I think one time I forgot to take my laptop out, and that's because sometimes they're so far behind in getting people to their planes, they'll say, just scan it through, just put it through. Don't worry about it. We'll see it in there, that sort of thing. And sometimes you get the guys who are total hard ass, no matter how long the line is, all stuff out. If it's bigger than a cell phone, get it out. If it's a laptop, if it's a gaming console, put in a tray, blah, blah, blah. So that does happen as well. But, you basically, those charter flights, you just go right in, go right to the tarmac, go right on the plane, you're out. But so it's easy to do what Ja Morant did because I'm looking at all possibilities here. It's possible with Ja Morant, if that gun was his, if he did take it from his home in Tennessee to Colorado, and for all we know, it may not even be his gun. It may have been somebody else's gun that he ended up in his hands on that picture or that Instagram live. It may be his gun too. So, I'm just looking at it from all points of view here because, I could just say, oh, that dumbass had a gun. He had his gun with him and everything. I lean towards that, but I'm looking at everything here because I'm of the belief that nothing surprises me anymore. And I say that all the time when I'm talking about something with my friends. Nothing surprises me. They say, oh, I like this 16 seed over the 1 seed next week in the tourney. Nothing surprises me. Nothing. So, but turning it back to this with Ja Morant, it really would not surprise me. And next time I got to make sure that if I'm in this position in my apartment, I put the timer on my monitor to more than 15 or 30 minutes here, so you don't get that look that I have no lighting here, because I do get the lighting from the monitor behind me of my desktop here. So, but But yeah, I mean, was the gun his? Probably. But in terms of the Colorado law, and I said this on Tuesday night as well, in terms of the Colorado law, they determined that there was nothing that they could charge him on because, you can't charge him for being legally drunk because that window passed. But like Mickey says, is he a dumb fuck? Yeah, and he is, because guess what? You could have easily ruined your career. Especially, what happens if that gun is yours and it goes off? And Play Action Reel, thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you tomorrow night on the last call, which will be tomorrow. And I always say approximately 9:15 because we all know Tony does go overtime, or tends to go overtime, I should say. So, no, I get off track, man. Play Action Reel is saying you can't get him off track easily. Trust me, you can. You can get me off track very easily, and I do it myself on these different tangents and stuff. But when it comes to Ja Morant, just some closing thoughts here. He deserves any suspension he gets from the league for violating any rules. But you just can't put yourself in that position. You just got to be smarter with that. You could say, "Oh, the gun's not mine," whatever. Just because it's not a something that Colorado police are going to pursue, you still violated your code of conduct. And that's something that some people may not realize because, they probably never had a union job. They don't understand that even though it's not, in this case, something that's punishable by law in Colorado, you're lucky the feds don't come in and say, well, why are you taking that on a plane? Because technically that is a violation. That's a violation of federal law. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame because, I mean, AJ Johnson said it on his show last night. His show with Duncan Dad, Nick DeFlick, and Luch. Let me make sure I get that properly in there. He had Memphis winning the championship this year, and solid reasoning behind it. And I'm not gonna criticize anybody for somebody that had good reasoning behind his pick to win the NBA title. I mean, his reasoning was solid. I mean, it was just that Memphis was a year too soon into the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Everything he said made sense. But, you just got to be more aware of everything. And, you can't do stupid stuff like Instagram Live, especially if it was his own Instagram Live, because I think it was his own Instagram Live. So I just shake my head over some of the things that he did there. And also things that some of these other athletes do, because it's so, you're throwing away so many things that I would love to have. I would love to have the money. I would love to have the fame. I would love to be that guy who hit the game-winning three-pointer, hit the 3-run homer to put my team in the playoffs, or whatever sport I would play, even though my sport was baseball. But, it could be taken away from you in a second. And we've seen it many times. But we'll see what happens with that as well. So if that's so I'm gonna even though it's always open here, um, even though it's always open, I'm gonna leave. Any other thoughts that you might have before I close out the show for tonight. So just a reminder, before we close up shop here, Tuesday night will be a show at 8:00. Next Thursday, the 16th. Right now, no show. I got friends coming in from Vegas, and I just hang out with him and do whatever, the Rocky steps, all that shit. So that's, it's just that I got to finalize those plans with him. Figure out what hotel he's going to be staying at. Hopefully it's somewhere downtown where it's just like, okay, let's take a little walking tour up Ben Franklin Parkway. But for anybody who's listening on the podcast after I upload it later tonight, you can join me at nofilter.net. And also, I want to give a big round of applause. And if I had that round of applause sound drop, I would play it to Rockin' Reese. At least I think it was Rockin' Reese that did this. He did that new background image that I'm using going forward here. He slid into my DMs later yesterday or earlier today, and I really like it. No clue who the Philadelphia Fight is, but hey, it works. So he has most of the teams that are in the Philly area and has me in there. And thankfully, he didn't put a time on there, but I am on here Tuesdays and Thursdays. This Tuesday coming up will be 8:00, and probably the following week it'll be 9:00. I already know what I already know what this Tuesday show is going to be all about. It's going to be all about the NCAA tournament. So, like everybody else is going to be talking about the tournament, and I'll get some of your guys' thoughts on these games, and maybe. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe if we get enough people watching the show, maybe a knock and we'll bang out a couple of picks and, we'll fill out a bracket that way. Who knows? So I am going to wrap it up here. Mickey, thank you for joining me tonight. Hope you feel better. Stephen Luker, thanks for joining me as well. Play Action Reel was in here. Penguin AZ, thanks to them as well. Stephen Luker is on Monday night with Play Action Reel for Retro Ad Monday. Play Action Reel, Penguin AZ, and Duncan Dad will be on the last call, which is after the Tony Bruno show on Fridays. Their show is approximately 9:15 p.m. Tony is at 7. AJ and his gang, Luch, Nick the Flick, and Duncan Dad, they're on Wednesday nights. You got Pouring Perspective, not porn perspective like Penguin AZ jokes around with Duncan Dad. That's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12:15, I believe. And we got so many shows on here, and we're starting to overlap here. So we are going to get back. We are going to get into a situation where it's like, man, do I want to talk sports or do I want to talk about this? That's a great thing. You got your choice, and even after the fact, you can catch my show on archive on nofilter.net, or if you want to listen to the podcast, pull up Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeart. I'm on Amazon even. If you just want to listen to the audio portion and not look at my ugly face, that's an option as well after the fact. So I give you many options. And also check out YouTube as well, because guess what? YouTube is it gets uploaded onto the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network as well on YouTube. So search Bleacher Brothers, subscribe. Everything will be set up as well. So thank you everyone for joining me tonight. And I will catch you Tuesday here on No Filter. Tomorrow night is the audio only episode. Once again, I'm going to try to get it done before Tony's show starts, but the ADD kicks in, and next thing you know, it's 2:00 and I'm just starting to record. So I do want to thank everybody for joining me tonight, and I will catch you Tuesday right here on No Filter. You've been watching the Philly Guy Speaks here on No Filter, part of the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Good night, everybody.